All right, people. So I want to talk about the recent string of bombings or whatever the fuck happening here. So there's been numerous occasions of terrorist-like activities, and all you saw from really the media and the Democrats and the left wing, whatever the fuck, is them saying, "Oh, of course they come out and say there's no terror link." Of course that's the first thing they say to try to divert to divert from radical Islamic terror. And then it comes out who did it. Who did they fucking catch? Oh, a Muslim, a radical Muslim. Oh, well, figures. So, and then you see the mayor, I think it was, he's like, oh, this is an intentional act. No shit, Sherlock. Of course it's an intentional act. What do you think you dumb fuck, what do you think, some idiot just fucking placed a time cooker bomb in a fucking dumpster on accident? Oh yeah, I just placed this bomb here on accident. No, you dumbass. Of course it's an intentional act. You fucking idiot. And it's weird that they come out and say, "Oh, there's no terror link," when this is very reminiscent of. There's no evidence this is terrorism. Really? What do you mean? There's no evidence this is terrorism? It's a fucking bomb. What do radical Islamic terrorists do? They fucking bomb shit. So of course there is evidence. Doesn't mean there is. There's evidence of terrorism. Doesn't mean there is. Doesn't mean it's 100% sure it's terrorism. But there was definitely evidence of that. And piece that together with the other recent, other bombings that were happening at the same time, and the stabbing in Minnesota. It's like, fuck. There is evidence of terrorism. You dumb fucks. And then they actually have the audacity to try to divert from it, and so it comes out it is terror. It is whatever the fuck you want to call it, radical Islamic terrorism. So this just shows how big of a problem that ISIS potentially could be, or terrorism. And the Democrats want a loose. They're very weak on immigration. We need to be tough. We need to be strong in immigration. We need, like Donald Trump said, extreme vetting. Of course we need extreme vetting. We need to verify people as strongly as we can. We cannot take chances with our country's safety. We cannot put the safety of our people at risk just for the chance that, we're just going to let these people in, and some of them might be ISIS, but we're just going to take that chance because we're nice or whatever the fuck. We can't take that chance. We have to let in people who we know are good, who are the best of the best. We can't let in fucking ISIS. We have to vet these people first. And we have to worry, like Trump said, America first. We have to worry about our own country first. And we need to screen people. And if there isn't a legitimate way to screen people, then we shouldn't even let them in. I mean, we're being pretty fucking nice to let in people from a terrorist safe haven like Syria. The fucking, like Trump says, the Harvard of terrorism. We're pretty fucking nice to we're really taking a pretty fucking big chance letting these people in. So if we are going to let in people from places like that, we should fucking very vigorously screen them. Or else, now this time it only, 29 people injured, which is still bad, but at least nobody died. Now, if we continue with these, the whole refugee shit, like what's been happening in France and look at what's happening in Europe with all the bombings, with all the terrorist attacks, and places like Turkey, places like France, all over Brussels. That's going to happen here if we continue our open border, very weak on immigration policy. And it's not going to be 29 people injured. It could be hundreds of people, thousands of people dead if, ISIS actually does something that's really bad. I mean, they have the potential to do so. I mean, we've seen it in other countries. It's happening all over the world now. I mean, we could very well be next if we don't get our shit together. So and like I said, we have to get our shit together with ISIS. We have to do something about them because they're a huge problem. They're killing thousands of people. They're creating a huge problem in a big part of the country. And you got to do something about them. I mean, you can't just lay back and let them, fuck you in the ass pretty much. You can't just bend over for ISIS. I mean, you got to be tough. You got to be strong. And that means being strong, probably doing military action. I'm not a big neocon. I know there's a lot of, I guess non-interventionists, but I mean, holy shit. I mean, you got to do something about ISIS. I mean, they're fucking wreaking havoc now. Yes, we were a big part in creating them by funding them and shit like that. But I mean, we got to take them out. I mean, we can't just keep letting them, wreak havoc in the Middle East. You got to do something about them. And you could work with Russia and other countries to do so. I mean, we definitely have the strong military to fucking take them out. And you also have to fight them here, at home by keeping a secure border, by promoting the idea of actually vetting people and letting in people who agree with Americana values. And by that I don't mean, oh, you got to agree with me politically. No, I mean like, you actually got to treat women with respect. You got to treat gay people, LGBT people with respect. You have to not want to kill people for leaving a religion. These are all things that many, many, many Muslims support, and many polls showed the facts that a lot of Muslims do support these things, these radical viewpoints. And, the argument from the left you'll get is, well, there's only a small percentage of, people who are actually, radical Muslims. That's actually incorrect. While there's, not a ton of Muslims carrying out terrorist activities, there are a ton of Muslims supporting the terrorists who aren't actually doing the terrorism. And if you look at the polls in many places, it's like 80% of people support killing Muslims for leaving the religion, and shit like that. Support killing adulterers, stoning adulterers. I mean, they agree with some pretty radical viewpoints. So we got to get tough on immigration. We got to get tough on ISIS, because more shit like this is going to happen if we don't. If we let in the so-called refugees, ISIS could very well easily fake like there are refugees and get into this country, which we don't fucking want, obviously. So we got to get tough. We got to worry about our own safety first. And if we continue with the very loose on immigration policy, we could be looking at more and more terrorist attacks. Now I know terrorism, if you look at it, hasn't killed many people, in the last 15 years since 9/11, but many Americans. But it has the potential to wreak havoc if we let our guard down and go by that philosophy. Now, I get that the fear of terrorism has been used to take away our civil liberties and the Fourth Amendment by neocons like George Bush, but at the same time, it is becoming a much more legitimate problem now with ISIS. I mean, they're wreaking havoc all over the world now, and we do not want to become like the rest of the world. We don't want terrorist attacks, happening like fucking every week here. So we got to get tough. We got to do shit that's going to prevent terrorism, but at the same time, like I said, keeping people's Fourth Amendment rights. We cannot, wiretap everybody's phone, and you can't just fucking throw Muslims out of the country just because they're Muslims. You can't search fucking mosques without a probable cause. So you gotta fucking be tough on ISIS, but at the same time, keep in mind the Fourth Amendment and people's rights. And like I said, you gotta get tough on ISIS. So I mean, they're a big fucking problem, and gotta, tough on the border. Vet people strongly, and probably you need some military action there, because you can't just let them fucking wreak havoc and grow stronger. You gotta combat them in some way. So there you go, people. There's my thoughts on that.